Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Comics for All. Thank you much for joining us today. Today is Friday, January 16th, 2026. I'm your host here at Comics for All, Jameson, a comics librarian, where comics, creativity, and community all connect. For our Ink and Insight segment today, we have Brian Cochran. Brian, thank you so much for joining us on the channel today. This is actually Brian's third time being on the channel, so he is our champion in that realm. So congrats, you actually get a crown for this.
Yes.
So the first channel...
Finally getting
I know, right? The first question we like to ask everyone, and you actually have asked this before, but for new viewers, what got you hooked into comics as a reader?
Those two right there. The Spider-Man live action show, the Incredible Hulk live action show. As a kid, that was the only thing I would watch. So it was my gateway drug, the reruns, because I'm not old. I'm old, but I'm not old enough to have caught them the first time around.
Right.
So caught the reruns on TV, and then comic books grew from that. Those two and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Such a good choice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was classy back then.
That's fair. Again, another reader-centric question, though. What is a comic or something that you've read in the last year or so that's kind of really stood out to you? You have indie, major, whatever you feel like.
The Ultimate Spider-Man run by Hickman is just
so good.
Fantastic.
Man.
Infernal Hulk. I'm really digging that so far. And the run before that, the regular Incredible Hulk. Those are just solid comics. The two I would pick, well, three if you count both Hulks, but yeah. Those right there.
I haven't checked out the Infernal Hulk at all. I'm definitely intrigued.
It is. I'm so used to writers coming in. Oh, this is a brand new Hulk. He's going to, he's worse than the other ones.
Right.
They didn't sell it on that, but it is a different Hulk, so to speak. And it actually lives up to what all the other writers tried, selling.
Okay.
This one is powerful. This one is dangerous and completely new ball game.
All right. Well, especially for the viewers out there meeting you for the first time, who is Brian Cochran in the comics world, and how did you kind of get started in being part of that creative community?
Oh, man. So as a kid, I used to make my own comic books, on lined notebook paper, take cardboard paper, draw a cover. I think I charged my parents like 25 cents, and it was my allowance, technically. But in college, I actually had 2 articles be printed by Wizard Magazine because I wrote in, got them published, a freelance then. And then there was a huge community back then, Digital Weapon, which I've noticed a lot of the previous guests were a part of, actually.
Yeah.
And from there, I started thinking about my own comics, doing that, but life hit, and of course, life, takes over. Artists cost money, unfortunately. No disrespect to artists. But if you want exposure, I'm just totally kidding. Then in 2015, I'd already gotten into ghostwriting as a profession with prose, ghostwriting somebody else's ideas. I ended up meeting somebody who had a TV show pitch with David Benioff, and he wanted to make it a graphic novel. So I was like, I know how to write comics. That was my first foray into it, as a gig, as a job. And then it just landslid from there. Other gigs, there's a lot of good websites, Upwork, Fiverr, where you can get freelance contracts to write people's comic books. And here I am. Now it's finally getting to the point where it's my own work coming out, stuff I can get credit for rather than have my hands tied by non-disclosure agreements. And yeah, but I've been around since at least 2015 actively, probably 2004, give or take, in other ways. And I'm ancient. I'm 29 for 13 times. 13th time being 29.
That's fair. And this probably rolls into the question of like what got you hooked into comics, but were there any particular comics or stories in that realm that made you think, I want to do this?
Not really. Just I can't pinpoint just one certain story. It was just, I love the medium.
Mm-hmm.
I had an overactive imagination as a kid. That comic book I was doing as a kid was my stuffed animals and pets as superheroes.
Yep.
So it just kind of avalanched from there. And I was always at a comic book store every Wednesday for New Comic Book Day.
Yes.
And it was literally my passion, that and baseball. But comic books, obviously, we're talking about, not baseball.
So you're a weekly comic visitor. You're really into the single issues more than the trades.
Yes, I was back then when, I was a kid and didn't have to worry about bills and rent and electric and
right.
Adulting sucks sometimes.
All right. Well, the nice thing is we actually get to delve into the reason why we're here today. We're going to talk about Within, which is your story that's on Kickstarter right now, which we'll pull that up here in a minute. But for any viewers who haven't seen any of the artwork or anything, how would you pitch it to somebody who has not seen the artwork whatsoever?
Right off the bat, it's horror. So I need to preface it with that because not everybody's into horror. But I don't want to say elevated horror. I don't want to say mundane, cliche, oh, zombies ate my dog, horror. It's about what would you do if the only hope you had in life was your unborn child who may or may not bring about the end of days. It brings in that because if you give it to the church or a religious organization, it's probably going to be tortured for what it is. If you give it to one of the cults after it, it's going to be worshipped as a kin, but hey, it's the end of days. Or do you hope it's nature versus nurture?
Right.
But how is that life running from everybody who wants this child? How is that a good, positive life? You can't enjoy it. You've got to stay on the run. You've got to keep moving. You can't have time for luxuries as, I want to see this movie. I want to do this. So at the core of it, that's it. It's the Incredible Hulk TV series meets Rosemary's Baby with the Terminator thrown in. That's the elevator pitch.
Well, it sounds like you need to put that phrase on the back.
Somewhere
in the description. So kind of where does that concept come from? Was there like a specific spark for the idea, or did it kind of evolve from different things you've worked on over the years?
So the Incredible Hulk type figure in it is a character I actually created way back in junior high.
Nice.
So in the 90s. I was obsessed with the Incredible Hulk TV series. It raised me more than my parents did. Not because my parents are bad, but my mom was disabled in and out of the hospital. My dad had to work, be by her side. So Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno raised me. But I always wondered, what would it be like if David Banner, because in the TV show he's David, wandered on to Crystal Lake of Friday the 13th, wandered into Haddonfield with Michael Myers. And then 7th grade me was paranoid that Marvel would sue me and read my thoughts. So I thought of the next best thing, made my own character. But the core of this story came, my mom passed away in 2003, my dad in 2006. They were married up until her death, then he got remarried. But I was pushed out of the picture. My dad got remarried in those 3 years. All of a sudden, I would call him weekly. He wouldn't answer or be like, oh, I had a barbecue. Everybody came. I didn't get invited. I don't say he was mean about it, but that was his way to cope with my mom's loss. But when he passed away 3 years later, I had a lot of pent-up emotions. Like, why did you write me up? I was 19 when she passed. I'm still a kid. Why? So around that time, I had my daughter. And it was yin yang with my emotions towards my dad about why he ditched me. Basically, that sounds a lot more negative, but it is kind of perception. And the hope I had in my daughter that I could be a better dad than he could have been through that.
Yes.
So it came from that idea, but I was missing one key figure. It was like, how do I make this a horror story? Okay. At the time when my dad passed, I decided, hey, I'm going to be the best horror writer ever. I was 22 at the time, young, dumb. It happens. But so I spent a lot of the money on the inheritance money on horror movies. horror literature. I filled up 2 5-subject notebooks, front and back, about what works, what doesn't work, what I can draw inspiration from, all of that. So I got the core story of this woman pregnant with what may or may not be a demonic entity, had the father angle, the parent figure, and I just thought to myself, how can I introduce people to this world easily rather than sitting there going, timeout, exposition. Here's 90 pages of exposition so you're caught up.
Right.
And I went to the Terminator. If you look at the Terminator, it's such a great narrative. Kyle Reese comes in, it's told on the run, boom, 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 and he fills in all the exposition.
That's right.
So then I brought in the character. I came up with it in 7th grade as her entrance into this world, as the audience's entrance into this world. And that's how the story blossomed right there. It was a comic book at first. I actually hired an artist who's with DC right now. He did 5 pages, but then life kind of hit. It became a novel. I wrote it as a novel. I ended up losing everything and being homeless and custody stuff. Just leave it at that. So as I was trying to fix my life, going from place to place, hey, do you have a couch I can go on? Hey, going to a town where I didn't know anybody, meeting people, trying to fix my life. This book was the only thing that kept me alive, because fixing your life is overwhelming. The walls close in, and you're like, what's the point of me getting this, $100 job when it has to go towards other stuff? How can I save? So I wrote it in libraries wherever I stayed and saved it. I had a publishing contract in 2017 for it through a well-known publisher, but they wanted to turn it into a Twilight-type novel, romance. And as a writer, you have different piles. You have a pile for, okay, this I'm just going to get out there. I'm not really attached to it. This one is kind of shit, but, it's profitable enough. And you have the stories very close to your heart where you're like, I don't mind changes. It's nature of the beast.
Right.
But don't change it into a romance when it's not. And then last year I sat down, wrote it as a comic book script again. I met Dustin at Ethereal Publishing, because this isn't a normal Kickstarter where it's like, hey, fund my comic book. Ethereal uses Kickstarter to pre-order stuff.
Right.
Because with the stuff with Diamond, it's a hassle, and it's their business model. And Dustin believed in it and gave me the chance, and here it is.
Fantastic. And
Long
shout out
story
Dustin,
short.
by the way. I know Dustin's out there. So if you can for us, who are the key characters to follow within the first issue, especially, and what makes them or kind of painful for you to write?
Alrighty, so it would be Kelly, who is a 20-something-year-old. Her father is very wealthy, but her father doesn't give time for her. She isn't pregnant yet with it. It deals more with Wayne, the father. And not a spoiler, but you find out that years ago, his wife, Kelly's mother, passed away during childbirth, leaving him a single father. And he couldn't find a job. He had no babysitters. He couldn't afford daycare. How can somebody fix their life and provide? So he ended up trying to take his own life because, hey, my daughter can do better without me, but was approached with a demonic deal. Hey, I can give you what you need to provide for your daughter. He takes it, but over the years, he starts having second thoughts like, hey, life is way too quick. What if I damned her as well as me? We're only here for a blink of an eye for life. So did I damn her for eternity? So he has spent his years trying to break this deal. So it's the narrative Lowe's to. Kelly doesn't know what's going on. Kelly just knows, hey, my dad's never here. He's a busy person in the businesses he's in. But he's really, trying to benefit her, save her. So it's the animosity between that, and those are the two big ones. The Hulk character comes in near the end, because this is the first issue of hopefully knock on wood, at least a complete story.
Well, that actually rolls perfectly into my next question, which we're going to now delve into the Kickstarter itself. I did put the link of the Kickstarter in the comments, so if you're actually not able to make it, it'll be in the description of the video too when we post it. Right now, it is over $4,000. Initial goal of 1,000 with 8 days to go, which is super awesome.
Yeah.
So, for people brand new to this campaign, what is issue number one funding? And like you mentioned, is this a full series launch? Is this a mini series, or kind of what's your plan with the story arc?
Well, first of all, it has to, be a good business move for Dustin.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. Like I said, this isn't a normal, hey, I'm a creator, I'm going to do it. This is a publisher believing in me.
Yes.
To a degree. So ideally, 8 issues, the complete story. Now, is there wiggle room for it to progress in a certain way, a different type of way? There is, because, hey, every writer dreams of that.
Absolutely.
But ideally, on my vision board, I'm manifesting it. I'll never do the Hampton again. But 8 issues. That would be the complete story from beginning to end. People can read it in the bathroom and have their legs get sore.
Nice.
In one sitting.
Well, then my question is this a completely like standalone within Ethereal, or is there anything that connects it to other Ethereal titles?
It's a standalone.
Okay.
It is a standalone. There might be one or two things down the line, because I am writing other titles for them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Easter eggs, but that hasn't been discussed yet. That hasn't really been, thought about yet. But maybe.
Okay.
Dustin, I'll talk to you.
That's fair. So what are the main stretch goals so far, and what are you wanting to do, hopefully, with the book kind of going forward?
Well, the stretch goals are right there on the page. It's I don't know them off the top of my head, and I apologize.
I might be able to share it. Let's see here.
But my main goal for going forward is just to, because this story is alrighty, yeah, it's up now.
There we go. Rewards. So for all the viewers out there, there's
beautiful.
Yeah, there's quite a few of choices in terms of how you want to support the campaign, which I absolutely love. I'm not there. It doesn't say the stretch goals right there, but let me see if I can pull it.
I think on the main page.
Yep. Some interior art. There we go. Cool. So $6,000 a trading card.
Yep.
So for any of like the variant covers, do you have any particular like favorites or anything in terms of like the extras and things that are available?
Oh man. I love I guess you can say the main cover by order, the interior artist. Not that one.
We go here. Rewards.
Not saying any of them are bad at all. That came out as
right?
snide.
All right, cover one. The main cover here.
Yep, that one I absolutely love. So growing up, when I used to go to the rental, the video rental, there's a movie, Italian movie produced by Dario Argento titled Demons 2. The cover of that used to scare the shit out of me. You just see her face, demonic. You see a birthday cake. You see a woman in a doorway. It used to scare the shit out of me. So I told Order, the artist, hey, make something similar to that, but also give it like a 90s feel, like the mid to late 90s where it has everybody's faces. And he came up with that, and oh my God, I absolutely love it.
This interior piece right here, too, I really love here on the bus. It feels very cinematic.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Here's some of the covers. There is the launch special. And there are some not safe for work covers if you are inclined to look for those too, which is awesome. So there's something for everyone.
Yep.
Man, I love
And
this
that
cover
cover.
too. That
Oh,
cover is
it's
just,
the colors. It's just,
yep.
yeah.
So for anyone kind of who may be
Yeah,
on
I
the
can't
fence
say enough.
about jumping on, kind of what's your quick pitch for someone before the campaign closes in 8 days? What's the pitch to bring them in?
Please do it. I'm an orphan. I am totally kidding. I am totally kidding. I want to sit here because I've been attached to a lot of Kickstarters before in other ways as the ghostwriter or just someone attached.
Right.
And everybody wants to come in and say, my comic's the best ever. This is why you should read it. And I don't want to be that way because everything's subjective. What
Yep.
one person likes, another person might not. But what I will say is that this is my heart and soul, like no other. This is the story that kept me alive.
Absolutely.
I would love it to share it with people. You know, I have so many people. When can I read something you've written, Brian? When can I read something you've written? Well, I can't really say anything because non-disclosure agreements. Then you get the other knuckleheads who are like, your name isn't in the credits. It was a ghostwriting job. You didn't do anything. Okay, whatever. At least I still have an apartment this month. That's great. That's the, you know, it's, but I hope that people are just interested because this is, again, I don't want to say something too deep or pretentious. I don't want to sit there and be like, this is a really deep story, you know, where you look into it almost like George Romero and Dawn of the Dead with the mall and Civilization. No, it's, you know, you'll take what you take from it. But all the three main characters are reflections of myself. You know, each part of me, the emotions, the struggle, the depression, the anxiety, everything brought to life. And I would love people just to be interested. It has not suitable for work covers, boobs. Does that pitch it? Maybe. But I just hope people see reflections of themselves because everybody has some type of mental ailment. And I'm not saying one flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Right.
But it's depression, anxiety, all of that is all the same blanket, but different fabrics. Nobody is null and void to it. If they're null and void to it, please give me the shit you're on, please. But it's told from that place, that dirty, parasitic place. So I hope it connects and resonates to people. If not, it's a really good horror story. And It's more Clive Barker, Dario Argento, rather than zombies, slasher killers, all of that, which we've seen so many times.
Yes.
And what would people do if their unborn child was the bringer of the end of days? It's something we all have to face. Well, not everybody, but, you know, most of us.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So the nice thing is we get to kind of dive into your craft and your process a little bit here now. For you, what does your writing process look like? And you've already touched on a little bit from an actual idea in your head to printed product. Are you a heavy outliner or discover the story kind of as you go, or how does that work for you?
Usually outline. So with the ghostwriting, it's different with the medium. Screenplays are one way. Books are a different beast completely. Books, whole different beast. Prose books. With comic books, if it's my own idea, I usually will, you know, do a loose thumbnail. Nothing good. I draw well if you have glaucoma and very drunk. It looks like Alex Ross that way. But just like little thumbnails about how I want to set up the panel, you know, like a director, like, all right, if this is smaller and kind of, you know, higher than eye level looking at the person, it's going to give an unsettling feel.
Yes.
I do that for a 24-page comic. I come about 4 different versions of that for each page. Then I'll put it away for the night, get back to it the next day, and all right, that flows with this, that flows with this, that flows with this. And that's how I script for comic books. With the dialogue, I usually write that out like a paragraph. Like, this is what I want everything said, you know, in an issue. Write it down, then break it up corresponding to those pages. So I already have an idea of what the characters are going to say, what they're going to be feeling. And I just merge them the next day once I figure out the pages that work for me. And it sounds very tedious and, that probably takes you a week. It really doesn't, because as I'm thinking of the story, there's already been 3 or 4 days where I've been living it, seeing it, pacing around my apartment. Thank God I have curtains now, because my neighbors probably thought I was absolutely batshit insane just walking around by myself.
I'm sure.
You guys are welcome for the entertainment if they can hear me, but that's besides the point. But it's quick, and I have learned always go with your instinct.
Yes.
Because if you give your chance to overthink, you're going to be rewriting that for 18 freaking days. That's the reason why prose writing is so difficult, because you write a paragraph, then you go back to it and go, no, it has to be completely different. And you rewrite a sentence 40 freaking times. And yeah, but comic books is notebook work, I call it. And then I type it up within 24 hours after that.
Perfect. And this is actually kind of more of a question for the viewers who may be watching. For someone who maybe has a script in their hard drive or whatever, maybe thinking about doing the Kickstarter at some point, what's a piece of advice or two you would like to share with people kind of thinking about doing their own crowdfunding?
It's funny. I get a lot of clients like this. They come up to me with an idea. I don't know how to do this. And I'm not an expert in Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I am not. This is the first time one of my own titles have been up there. Mm-hmm. I've been attached to other projects, but it's somebody's idea and they're overseeing everything. I say just go for it. Life is way too short.
100%.
And, not this past November, the November before I met Dustin, before, other things. I'm very attached to my kids. They call me daily. That's really all I have in this life. I spend hours reading comic books with my son over the phone, playing Dead by Daylight, video games. But that's all I have really going for me. I'm not trying to get sympathy, but that's just it. I had a mental breakdown where I was like, all right, they're both growing older. My son's graduating high school in a few months. My daughter is graduating college in a few months. They're going to have their own lives, own people, and almost like empty nest syndrome.
Yeah.
I broke down going, I have nothing else in life. What is there in life? I don't go out much because freelancing is terrible for money. Any past clients who owe me money, please pay me. Thank you. But it came down to me really going, all right, getting my own ideas out there is what I want. That, I can't control other people. I can't control if I click with somebody, hit with somebody romantically, or if friends are busy or whatnot. I can't control other people. But what would make me content in life are my own stories rather than other people's coming out.
Yes.
So taking that into it, just go for it. I'm not sitting here saying I'm an expert. I'm tickled pink that this has made $4,000. I am absolutely, because I see other Kickstarters on there and they're lucky to reach 1,200, 1,300.
Right. Yeah, it's really challenging right now.
Yeah. So I am completely blown away, but you don't know unless you try. You don't know. And again, I hate getting so philosophical, but life is way too short. That's just that's the stumbling block epiphany I had. So yeah.
Well, it rolls right into the point of kind of like when you were talking about when you met Dustin and everything, it's just being kind of open and just being kind, and who knows what people you're going to come across and what it's going to lead to. You really don't know.
Yeah, the trajectory of me meeting Dustin is a novel in itself. It really is. Because I met him through an editor on another project that I'm not going to mention names, but I was ready just to say goodbye to it. Mm-hmm. The guy would put me through the ringer for money, for pay. Oh, I'll pay you tomorrow. I'll pay you tomorrow. And then tomorrow came and no money. I would tell him, all right, I'm available for calls whenever. Don't call me on this day. He would call me 12 times. Well, I told you not to. Oh, well, while I have you, it got insanely toxic. I was ready to just see you later. I am done with this. I don't need this. Every time pay comes up, I had to jump through hoops. I had to message him every half hour.
Jeez.
Pay me, and then dealing with all the BS. But I met an editor, Chuck Pinnell, through that. And then I was like, all right, I'm staying. I literally told Chuck, I'm staying just because you and a new artist came in, Aline. You guys are staying. You guys are here. I'm staying, but I'm letting you guys know I'm on short leash. I was about to quit 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And then Chuck ended up introducing me to Dustin. And that's how that happened.
That's fantastic.
But I was ready to just throw in the freaking towel with that client before Chuck even got there.
No kidding.
But yeah.
And this is kind of more of on the creative side, but how do you handle like creative setbacks like writer's block, or you pitch something to someone and it doesn't go well, or an artist collaboration falls through? How do you handle kind of those missteps when they happen?
Okay, for writer's block, there was a point, usually my schedule is 2 novels being written at once for ghostwriting and 2 or 3 comic books. Sometimes it's screenplay, but it's always go, go, go.
Right.
Writer's block happens a lot. The best thing is for me, because it's usually other people's projects, and this won't help everybody, but I'll swing around to that in a minute now.
Okay.
Be open and communicative with the client. Say, hey, I've sat here at my keyboard for 3 hours. I don't know what freaking words are. I need a day or 2 to recharge. Usually with that, a lot of times when I'm approached for client work, it's, oh, do you want to get paid hourly or, lump sum? Give me the lump sum, because some days I'll be able to pound out 4,000 words in 5 hours. Other days, those 4,000 words are going to take me a week.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than sitting there going, well, I spent 70 hours on it, I need money for that. Or, hey, it took me 5 hours, just pay me 5 hours. It's just more transparent. But other than that, you really got to plow through it. It sounds like tough love, but free associate, right? Journaling really helps me, where I'll just start writing about, my life or whatever comes up, like in a Dear Diary type way. Then usually after a few hundred words, I take a break, and then I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go again. I found that, because have you ever looked for your keys? You don't know where you put it?
All the time.
Well, then you take it, you stop looking for it, and it pops up magically like, what the hell? Is there a freaking unicorn around here with them? Just putting them on the freaking table? But it's like that. Once you divert your mind off of it, it usually, you find the missing pieces for solving that writer's block. Hopefully that helps. If not, drink. It helps too.
Yeah.
As Ernest Hemingway said, write drunk, edit sober.
There you go. I like that. So we're at the beginning of 2026, and like you mentioned, NDAs and stuff. But is there anything you can share on anything else you're working on in the rest of 26?
I have a couple of more. 2 titles that are definitely coming out this year for Ethereal.
Excellent.
It's one of those that Dustin, we collaborated on the idea. One of them's coming up really soon. I'll have to let you know about that.
Yeah.
The date's slipping. I have a independent movie coming out at some point with a studio down in Florida, Kill Devil Studio, Kill Devil Films. That I wrote. That's my own creative property. He came in, made it his own, because the guy, Thomas Crane, is a nationally award-winning music video director. He's done music videos for Saliva, Queensryche.
I recognize his name, yeah.
He just did one for 12 Stones. An old band, Evanescence, Bring Me to Life, the male sinners from 12 Stones.
Yep.
pretty much he was looking for a screenplay. I said, hey, I'll be a Huckleberry. Put me in. The first one he didn't want to do, but we clicked and hit it off. We moved forward with another idea of mine. And I was like, look, you're the director. This is just like a color and book. You color it in how you want. So we ended up strengthening it. That, knock on wood, October-ish, hopefully. October,
Okay.
November. I have the first co-writing novel, a trilogy of novels with somebody I've been working on prose with for the last 3 or 4 years. That's more Tom Clancy, a Tom Clancy type novel set in space.
Okay. Oh, nice.
And I have my own novel coming out at some point this year. I just have to settle down and figure stuff out. I've been so tunnel visioned with the comic book.
Nothing
And
wrong
of
with
course,
tunnel
you
vision
can
on a
find me
comic.
in the articles in Penthouse.
Right.
You won't get the carpal tunnel that way if you read the articles.
Absolutely. So where can people find you online, Brian?
Facebook. I have the link. Do you want me to share the link with you, or?
Yeah, you can post it in the comments there. And if you don't make any of the links, like I said, we'll put the links in the description of the video when it gets posted later.
Yeah, I'll just do it later rather than having StreamYard crap out. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on my phone number on certain bathroom stalls if you want. Hey, I got to eat somehow. Freelancing isn't cutting it all the times. You can find me on Tinder, Finder, and I'm really killing this joke. You can just find me on Facebook. I'll post the link a little bit later.
Sounds good. So, kind of an oddball question to close this out, and I think you may have already answered on a previous one, but we'll go through it again. Do you have a favorite snack or a meal as a go-to when you do need to work on a project for a couple hours?
I have to give the same answer I gave the 2 other times. No, because again, freelance, in order to get paid, I need to finish what I'm doing. So, you get the eye of the tiger, that hunger pain, and you're like, I really need to freaking finish this so I can eat. Then you go to the client afterwards, it's like freaking Tiny Tim or Little Orphan Annie going, more porridge, sir, here's your product, please pay me.
Right? So,
I can't sit there and be like, oh. Go ahead.
So my question is, you talked about potentially going up to 8 issues. Has there been any discussions with Dustin or anyone if it gets to a point, maybe like an actual hardcover edition?
That would be something down the line. Right now, we have to make sure that each issue is profitable.
Yep.
And I don't want to say, oh, $100,000. But if there's some rich sugar daddy out there, please. I keep doing this thing with my hand. I'm just going to sit on my hands. But now I know why one of my ex-girlfriends used to slap me upside the head for this. But
it happens.
But maybe not. I don't know. We have to make sure that each installment is profitable. And, luckily, after the Kickstarter, there is 7 days for late backers afterwards.
Got it.
But they'll be available on the website. So then, rather than me coming to like you or any place else and going, oh, you should buy my comic book, I can give you a copy, have you read it, because, actions speak louder than words. Again, everybody comes on to YouTube stuff. My comic's the greatest, back it. But until you've actually read it, especially a new issue, a new comic title, you won't truly know until you've given it an open-minded chance. So hopefully, even after the Kickstarter, there is traction. There is momentum. There's something, because I owe Dustin everything with this. So, yeah, and it's a business at the end of the day.
That's absolutely right. And I think sometimes the realities of the business, I think sometimes people are blinded by it or are unwilling to kind of accept the publishing realities. Like you mentioned, the collapse of Diamond has really thrown a wrench in everything.
Yeah.
Getting distribution, and Dustin, I'm sure, is a whiz kid on distribution in terms of getting the books out there. So that's a huge problem unto itself.
Yeah. And Dustin's been in the industry since 2020, 2019, somewhere around there. And he's provided consistency across the board. There's not many other indie publishers out there that always have something going on like Lum. The consistency where it's a Kickstarter after another Kickstarter after another Kickstarter. He's meeting the deadlines. It's a team, structure, obviously, but that all boils down to Dustin and how he runs a tight ship.
Absolutely. And I think
Dustin, I might have brown on my nose after that.
And I think what helps separate Ethereal to some degree is that I feel like the quality of the print is just as good, if not better, than the big two.
Yeah. He takes care of his product. Mm-hmm. He doesn't cut corners where it's like, okay, just newspaper stock. He's going all out to make sure you get a quality that's the most bang for your buck.
Absolutely.
Across everything, the staff involved, the talent involved, especially the artwork. He has some of the best talent out there in the comic book industry working on all the titles. It's just, he has a gift. He has a gift.
All right, Brian. Well, we're at the conclusion of our conversation. If you want, give us the last pitch for Within and any viewers out there who may be on the fence.
Please buy it. Honestly, I can't sit there and change anybody's mind, free will, and obviously.
Yep.
But this is my heart and soul bled onto pages. This is the story that kept me alive when I was homeless for years, when I was being bullied like I was for having a speech problem, dealing with a disabled mom. This is the one thing that kept me alive. And I don't want to sit there like a GoFundMe and say, I'm choking up my pride to, ask for money. Mm-hmm. But I just hope that people can support my vision at least once. Give the first issue a chance. Because you don't know if you'll like it. You don't know if you won't. I can't change your mind that way. But I can certainly put myself out there, let you be aware of the product to give it just an honest opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think it's all us viewers and readers can ask for is that the people putting their heart and soul into the work, and it shows, especially just the snippets of artwork that we've seen so far. I definitely feel that the story comes across, and I'm really excited to dive in.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. This has been our Ink and Insight segment today. So thank you so much for joining Comics for All. Brian, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule, and we will see you again soon.
Having me again. Yeah, I have to come for number 4.
We have to. All right, take care, everybody. Nice to see you.
Yeah.